The shuttle broke through the shimmering veil of the Shatterwell expanse, its hull trembling faintly as it crossed the fractured edge of space. Dr. Mira Selim pressed a hand to the glass, studying the swirling distortions outside. Waves of color rose and collapsed like the dying breaths of a star. Even after years of training, the region's unstable geometry unsettled her, though she'd never admit it aloud. Ahead, Astral Rift Station Aleph 3 drifted in the void like a steel chrysalis suspended over a cosmic wound. Docking clamps extended with mechanical precision as the shuttle approached. Holt's voice came from the seat beside her. "You ready for this, Doc?" Mira kept her gaze forward. "If I wasn't, I wouldn't be here." He chuckled. "That's what worries me." The doors hissed open. A controlled breeze carrying recycled air touched her face as she stepped out. The gleaming corridor curved toward observation decks crowded with screens projecting gravimetric spike. The atmosphere hummed with restrained urgency. Rin, the station's resident linguist, approached quickly, his pale blue skin shifting to a deeper shade, a sign of unease among his species. "Dr. Selim, welcome. We have developments." Mira arched a brow. "The station barely let me dock." "What happened?" Rin lowered his voice. "We detected an object near the rift's event fold. It wasn't there yesterday." "Define object." "You should see for yourself." They wove through the station's core until they reached the primary lab. A transparent containment field dominated the room. Inside floated a structure unlike anything Mira had studied. It resembled an obsidian monolith, but its surface ebbed like molten glass caught between freezing and boiling. Holt let out a low whistle. "That wasn't in the briefing." "It appeared during a gravimetric surge," Rin said, adjusting the displays. "The readings match symbols found in pre-contact mythologies from multiple species." "That's impossible," Mira murmured. "These cultures never exchanged records." "Exactly," Rin replied. Mira moved closer. The monolith pulsed, faint but rhythmic, as though answering unseen tides. She checked the containment metrics, then gave Holt a nod. "Has it emitted anything dangerous?" "No radiation spikes, no particles we recognize. Just tone." "Tone." Rin activated an audio filter. A deep, resonant hum spilled into the room. It wasn't quite sound, more like pressure bending thought. It stirred something in Myra's chest, an echo she couldn't place. "Strange," she whispered. "It almost feels intentional." Rin's hands trembled subtly. "My people have legends about objects like this. They say they belong to the ELD." "Spare me the folktales," Holt cut in. "If it doesn't burn, bite, or explode, we can manage it." Mira ignored both and stepped closer to the barrier. "Open the secondary field. I want a tactile reading." Holt frowned. "You sure?" "Rin looks ready to sprint out the airlock." Rin stiffened. "We shouldn't touch anything that responds to thought." Myra's expression remained steady. "Secondary field. Now." Holt complied. A soft ripple passed over the inner barrier as it thinned to allow sensor contact. Mira extended her hand, stopping millimeters short. The monolith's surface darkened, then brightened with shifting lines, as though aware of her presence. A whisper slipped into her mind. Not sound, yet unmistakably a message. "Child of the sphere." She jerked her hand back. Holt reached out, steadying her. "What happened?" Mira swallowed hard. "Lock the field." Holt sealed it immediately. Rin stared at her with widening eyes. "You heard something?" "Yes." "What did it say?" Mira hesitated. "I'm not sure." A phrase. "Could be projection from the object." Rin shook his head. "The elders used resonance beyond spoken language. Their warnings." "Again with the myths," Holt muttered. Rin faced him sharply. "My people teach those myths because the elders were real. They shaped the early galaxy. They vanished after a war that tore the rift into existence. And they warned us, warned everyone, never to disturb this region." "Convenient story," Holt said. "Everything dangerous gets labeled forbidden." Rin leaned closer, voice tense. Those warnings mention a species from a blue world whose arrival unbalanced the Elder's order. Mira frowned. Humanity didn't reach this region until 2 centuries ago. Legends speak from ages beyond linear time, Rin insisted. Before Mira could reply, the alarms blared. The lights dimmed as red strobes flashed across the lab. The console beside Holt flared with frantic readings. Gravimetric rupture forming, he reported. Right outside the hull. It's big. Rin's skin shifted toward a near-violet tone. It's waking. Mira stepped to the main viewport. Beyond the reinforced glass, the expanse writhed. A spiral tore through space like a claw dragging across fabric. The tear expanded, revealing a depth that didn't resemble vacuum, more like a conscious void. The monolith inside the field glowed, symbols racing across its surface. Mira, Holt said quietly, tell me that's a sensor glitch. She didn't answer. From within the tear, an eye opened. Enormous, multi-pupiled, older than any star. Its gaze swept across the station before locking onto Mira with frightening precision. Her breath shortened. Rin whispered, this matches the descriptions. An elder. A voice surged through the chamber, not through the ears but straight into thought. Deep, layered, ancient. Human again. Mira's knees nearly buckled. Holt grabbed her arm, anchoring her. The eye dilated, expanding until it filled the viewport. Darkness swirled around it, shaping the silhouette of a colossal entity still trapped behind the breach. Child of the sphere, it intoned. Your kind returns to the place we warned you never to tread. Mira forced her voice steady. Identify yourself. The void rippled. Stars flickered like sparks sucked toward the breach. I am Akervun, reverent silence. Guardian of the dominion you trespass upon. Rin bowed instinctively, trembling. Holt didn't move. Mira stared into the eye. We retrieved an unidentified object. If it belongs to your domain, we can return it. Akervun's presence tightened around her thoughts like a cold band. You awakened the codex. Its message calls only to humans. Your kind must not possess what lies within. Mira felt a tug at her mind, a pull toward the monolith, as though the entity tried to pry the memory of the whisper from her. She resisted. Holt stepped forward. You want the object? Fine. Close the rift and take it. The elder ignored him entirely. Its attention never left Mira. Humanity approaches the pattern once more. This cannot be allowed. The lights flickered. Consoles shook. The breach widened. Mira felt the unmistakable sensation of being measured, like a creature assessing a threat. Not prey. Something else. The monolith flashed. Symbols rearranged rapidly until one phrase stabilized. They fear you. A chill ran down her spine. Before she could react, the station shuddered violently as something enormous pushed against reality itself. Akervun's final message echoed through her skull, resonant and relentless. Your kind breaks the laws that bind creation. You must be stopped. And as the breach widened further, Mira realized this was only the beginning. The station shook again, harder this time, as if some enormous hand pressed against its hull. Mira steadied herself on the railing while alarms hammered through every corridor. Red emergency lights sliced across the walls, turning the lab into a flickering storm of shadows. Holt slammed a palm against the console. Structural integrity at 85%. Whatever that thing is, it's stressing the frame. Rin stared toward the viewport, frozen. His voice came out thin. If Akervun enters fully, the station will collapse before we can evacuate. Mira forced her breath into a steady rhythm. She couldn't think clearly while panic coiled in the room. Rin, focus. What do your legends say about its abilities? My people never faced one. We only know the warnings. He swallowed. They bend reality as easily as we bend metal. Meaning? Holt answered for him. It means we don't survive contact. The monolith pulsed again, casting faint silver glimmers across the containment field. Mira moved toward it, ignoring Holt's alarmed shout. Don't touch that thing again. I'm not touching it. She adjusted the sensor angles, forcing the monolith to reflect different wavelength. The symbols on its surface rearranged, no longer random, but forming distinct geometric chains. Mira whispered, "It's responding to the Elder's presence." Rin nodded weakly. The codex was never meant for ordinary minds. It records their laws, their conflicts, their fears. Holt glanced at him sharply. Fears? What would something like that be afraid of? Rin hesitated. Only one thing. A species described as unpredictable. Dangerous because its existence contradicts Elder predictions. Holt scoffed. What species? Rin pointed at Mira. Humans. The statement hung in the air. Before Mira could respond, the Elder's voice surged across the station, a layered vibration that rattled bones without producing sound. You carry the anomaly within your blood. Mira looked toward the viewport as the breach widened. The Elder's form grew clearer, still distant, yet impossible to ignore. Swirling tendrils of light, folded dimensions, glimpses of shapes that refused to remain coherent. Every shift in its outline sent ripples through the station's lights. Explain yourself, Mira demanded, stepping closer. What anomaly? A pause followed, deep enough to feel like an ocean holding its breath. Humanity. The word vibrated inside her skull. Your kind defies pattern, probability, and fate. We observed you long before you understood fire. Rin stared at her, trembling. Holt looked unconvinced but visibly shaken. Mira held her ground. We never encountered your kind before today. You encountered one of us long ago. Stars distorted around the breach as the Elder projected an image into the minds of everyone present. A barren world. A sky torn open. Early humans. Primitive, terrified, yet standing upright while an Elder being towered over them. The humans did not flee. They threw stones. They screamed in defiance. Their sheer will distorted the ground beneath them, creating fractures in the Elder's projection. The vision vanished as abruptly as it appeared. Holt's jaw tightened. That's impossible. Humans weren't even. Mira cut him off. Elders don't perceive time like we do. The Elder's voice returned, colder now. Your kind wounded one of our own. None of the younger species have ever harmed an Elder. Not before. Not since. The lab fell silent. Rin whispered, "That's why the legends say humans must never approach the rift." Mira stepped forward. "If we harmed one of you, it wasn't intentional. Intent changes nothing. Your presence disrupts the dominion. The codex amplifies what you are. That cannot be allowed." Holt moved to shield Mira instinctively. "Stop addressing her like she's some kind of cosmic threat." The Elder ignored him. "Destroy the codex. Abandon this place. Or be erased." Mira studied the monolith again. The shifting symbols had stabilized into patterns resembling language, but not any language she knew. She activated a deeper analysis. The console spat out fragments. Structural equations, metaphysical diagrams, harmonic notations. "It's a map," she murmured. "It records structural weaknesses in Elder projections. Methods to counter their influence." Rin's eyes widened. "Humans were never meant to read that." "Maybe not," Mira replied softly, "but something wants us to." The monolith pulsed brighter. A delicate tremor ran across the containment field. Holt exhaled sharply. "Great. It likes you." "I don't think likes applies," Mira said. "It's choosing." The Elder's presence surged again, flooding the room with crushing pressure. Holt staggered. Rin fell to one knee. Mira felt her mind stretched, pulled toward the rift, yet she resisted instinctively, anchoring herself with stubborn clarity. "You resist," Ackervun growled, genuine surprise surfacing in the resonance. "Humans adapt even under metaphysical strain. You grow stronger." Mira wiped sweat from her brow. "Stop digging in my head. I study the anomaly that threatens the order of existence." Holt snapped, "She's a scientist, not an anomaly." "She is human," the Elder replied. That is enough. Suddenly, the station lurched violently. A burst of radiant tendrils struck the outer hull. Panels sparked. Consoles erupted in showers of light. Holt shouted, "He's attacking!" Rin clutched the railing. "He's trying to destabilize us. Force the codex into the rift." Mira slammed a command into the system, rerouting power to the containment field. "We're not giving it up." The Elder's tone deepened. "You cannot hope to withstand me. No species has stood in defiance since the first anomaly." "You mean the humans who threw stones at your ancestor?" Holt muttered. Mira ignored the quip. She leaned closer to the viewport. "Why do we threaten you? What is it about humans that causes this reaction?" A long pause followed. The surrounding distortion dimmed, not from weakness but contemplation. "You are the species that exists outside prediction. Creatures born without destiny. You remake yourselves ceaselessly. You violate the balance." Mira frowned. "We simply survive. And survival is precisely your danger." Another strike slammed against the hull. Holt shouted updates over the roar of metal stressing under pressure. "Shields down to 60%. Rin's voice rose with panic. "He'll tear the station apart." The monolith glowed intensely. Symbols cascaded across it like falling stars. Mira felt a mental tug, not hostile but insistent, guiding her attention to a specific formation on its surface. A message, not in words but in logic. She whispered, "It's showing me something." Another tremor rocked the station. Sparks rained from the ceiling. "Mira, we have to leave," Holt urged. She shook her head. "If we run, he follows. If we give up the codex, we lose any chance of surviving the next encounter." Rin stared at the monolith. "What does it want from you?" Mira touched her temple. "To understand why we exist." The Elder's voice struck again, louder than before. "Human, abandon the codex or face obliteration." Mira stepped forward, defiance sharpening her gaze. "No." The breach howled, widening. The monolith flashed once more. And somewhere deep inside the rift, something answered. The station buckled under another impact, jolting Mira against the railing. Static crackled across the speakers as systems struggled to stabilize. Holt shouted over the noise, his voice sharp with urgency. "Shield integrity is dropping, 50% and falling." Rin clung to the console, his breathing strained. "He's deploying astral constructs. They're breaching every defensive layer." Mira forced herself upright. The Elder's assaults weren't random. Each strike hit precise structural nodes. He wanted to collapse the station and reclaim the codex. "Holt, reroute auxiliary power to outer plating," Mira said. "Slow the penetration. It won't hold for long." "Doesn't need to. We need moments, not minutes." Rin shook his head. "Moments for what? Nothing we do can withstand an Elder." Mira turned toward the containment field. The monolith shimmered, symbols rearranging with deliberate rhythm. It wasn't reacting to the station's stress. It was responding to something else, something deeper. "Rin," she said quietly, "help me interpret the sequence forming on its surface." He hesitated. "You want to decode an Elder artifact while an Elder is trying to kill us?" "Yes." Rin exhaled shakily, then approached. Together, they studied the shifting geometric chains. Holt kept watch over the status displays, muttering updates as systems flickered. "What do you see?" Mira asked. "It appears to be harmonic notation," Rin said. "Not auditory, cognitive resonance mapping." "Meaning?" "It outlines how different minds interact under metaphysical stress." Myra's heart quickened. "Can humans affect these resonances?" Rin scanned rapidly. "The codex indicates one species with unique compatibility. It doesn't name them directly. Only describes them as unbound." "Unbound," Mira repeated. "Outside prediction." Holt threw her a glance. "That's what the Elder called us." Rin swallowed. "Because humans disrupt these fields instead of collapsing under them. Other species break down. Humans adapt." A brilliant flash outside the viewport cut their discussion short. A spear of radiant energy pierced an outer support. The station jerked sideways, lights dimming in a wave across the halls. Holt braced himself. 40% integrity. Rin's voice cracked. He'll breach the core next. The monolith pulsed again, 3 sharp beats, then silence. Mira stepped closer. She felt a faint pull in her thoughts, not invasive, but guiding. It's showing us a countermeasure, she said. Holt stared at the glowing surface. How can a chunk of shifting rock fight something like that? It's not a weapon. It's information. Holt scoffed. Information doesn't stop reality from ripping open. Mira didn't look away from the monolith. It can, if it changes how we interact with the rift. Rin pointed to one symbol cluster. This describes a resonance produced only by collective consciousness. But the codex highlights a single species capable of generating it spontaneously. Mira met his eyes. Humans. Rin nodded reluctantly. Your minds adapt to mental pressure instead of breaking. You anchor yourselves through shared intent. That's what the elders fear. Holt blinked. So we team-think our way out of this? Not exactly, Mira said. We align. Humans naturally synchronize under stress. If we amplify that, we might stabilize the region he's trying to collapse. Great, Holt muttered. We're going to beat a cosmic entity with teamwork. Another impact rocked the station, nearly knocking them off their feet. The entire lab vibrated as coolant lines burst in a nearby corridor, sending hissing vapor through the vent. Rin looked toward the viewport with dread. He's accelerating the collapse. The next strike could rupture the core. Mira closed her eyes and pressed 2 fingers to her temple. She needed to think clearly. The codex didn't just describe resonance. It described evolution through adversity. Humans grew stronger under pressure. Their minds sharpened when confronted with impossibility. A new symbol flickered on the monolith. A spiraling pattern, open-ended, unbounded. It pulsed with unusual brightness. Rin whispered, that symbol wasn't in the earlier sequences. Mira felt something stir inside her, a sensation like the moment before understanding clicks into place. It's reacting to us, to our decisions. How? Holt asked. Because the codex is metaphysical. It records possibilities. It sees human intent and shifts to match. Holt stared at her like she'd spoken nonsense. You're saying it's reading your thoughts? I'm saying it's reading our choices. The elder's voice crashed into their minds, sharp and laced with agitation. Your kind must not access the final sequence. Mira stepped to the viewport. Why? What are you afraid we'll find? The breach flared violently, swirling with intense distortion. Akervun's form pressed harder against the dimensional tear. Humans reshape themselves under strain. No law binds you. You grow from chaos. If you unlock the codex fully, you will unmake everything we built. Mira held his gaze. We're not trying to destroy anything. We're trying to survive. Survival is your flaw. The rift shrieked as another construct emerged, an amorphous mass of light and broken geometry. It launched toward the station, striking with terrifying force. Consoles sparked. Holt cursed and dove to another panel. 30% integrity. Mira turned to him. Holt, I need you here. He rushed to her side. She placed his hand on the side of the monolith's containment field. Rin stared. Are you sure that's safe? No, Mira admitted. But this is the only way. The monolith brightened, reacting instantly to the human contact. Mira placed her own hand beside Holt. Symbols surged across the surface, forming intricate loops. Rin hesitated, then placed his hand as well. The lab vibrated, not from an external strike, but from the monolith itself. A resonance rippled through the field, then through their minds. Mira felt her thoughts aligning with Holt's and Rin's, not merging, but harmonizing. She gasped softly. This is it. Rin trembled. The codex is amplifying your species' natural resilience. Holt's voice dropped. Feels like clarity. like a storm clearing. Together, they focused on stabilizing the breach. Not with machines, but with intention guided by the codex's resonance map. Outside, the swirling rift briefly faltered. Akarvun's voice boomed with outrage. You dare anchor my dominion with human will? The constructs around the station wavered, their shapes flickering. Mira pressed harder into the field. We're not anchoring your dominion. We're protecting our existence. The rift shuddered under the resistance. Akarvun recoiled, disbelief radiating in wave. Impossible! You are aligning against an elder's projection. Holt grinned despite the chaos. Guess we're full of surprises. The monolith surged again, delivering another sequence into their shared consciousness. Mira understood instantly. This is only the first step, she said. Rin looked frightened. The next step requires more than resonance. It requires confronting him directly. Holt tightened his jaw. Then we confront him. The rift shook violently. Akarvun forced more of his form through, determined to crush the station. Mira drew a steady breath. We stabilize this now, or he tears through us. They braced themselves, channeling the resonance. The monolith pulsed until the lab glowed with silver light. Outside, the elder hesitated, a moment of doubt, small but unmistakable. Mira stared into the breach. The rift swelled until it filled half the viewport, spilling a cascade of warped starlight into the station. Akarvun forced more of his colossal form through, each movement bending physics around him. The alarms had long since given up. Now only the deep groans of stressed metal echoed through Aleph 3. Holt steadied himself at the console. He's coming through. Once he crosses fully, we won't hold a second. Rin looked at Mira, fear tight in his eyes. The codex showed us the resonance pattern, but completing it requires full immersion. If you try it alone, it might tear you apart. Mira studied the monolith. Its symbols were no longer drifting. They formed a concentrated spiral centered toward the top, pulsing in measured rhythm. The codex wasn't just a map anymore. It was an invitation. We're not doing this halfway, she said, voice calm despite the chaos. We finish what it started. A booming roar reverberated through the breach, vibrating every bone in their bodies. Human, you do not grasp what you awaken. Mira faced the rift. Maybe not. But I understand enough. The elder's form expanded until his full silhouette loomed beyond the viewport. Fragmented wings unfurled. Layers of overlapping eyes blinked in cold focus. Geometric limbs twisted into impossible angles that scraped against faint stars. Rin trembled. He's manifesting fully. That form was never meant for this plane. Which means, Mira said, we might have a chance. Holt shot her a disbelieving look. A chance at what? Surviving the next 5 seconds? A chance to stop him. The monolith surged with silver light, illuminating the lab. The symbols flowed down its sides like a waterfall of meaning, arranging themselves into a sequence they all recognized instantly, even before translating it. A final sequence, the culmination of everything the codex contained. Mira pressed her hand to the containment field again. Holt and Rin followed suit. The codex responded immediately. Resonance rippled outward, vibrating through their bones and thoughts. The pull was stronger than before, demanding full intention, complete clarity. Rin gasped. It's merging the alignment field with our cognitive patterns. Stay with it, Mira instructed. The resonance deepened, threading their minds together. Mira felt Holt's brief flickers of doubt and his stubborn resolve underneath. She felt Rin's fear and his desperate need to prove himself useful despite every instinct telling him to run. Their thoughts met hers in a single point of focus. The lab brightened as the monolith projected a column of light upward. Patterns spiraled around them, forming a shimmering cocoon. Akarvun recoiled slightly, multiple eyes narrowing. You attempt synchronization. Futile. Mira stood straighter. Let's find out. The column of light surged outward, passing through the viewport as if glass were air. It struck the rift in a rippling wave. For the first time, Akervun's projection faltered. His outline distorted, flickering between dimensions. Holt stared. It worked. Not yet, Mira said. Her muscles trembled from the effort. We have to complete the sequence. The monolith projected another pattern, more complex, layered with harmonic structures no human language could describe. Mira felt it unfold in her mind, not like instructions, but an instinct waiting to be recognized. We're not countering him, she murmured. We're inverting him. Rin blinked. Inverting? His form depends on metaphysical stability. We're reversing it, turning his projection inward. A soundless scream reverberated from the rift, shuddering through the hull. Akervun pushed harder, forcing broken geometry back into alignment. Humanity cannot unmake an elder. Who said anything about unmaking? Mira responded. We're sending you back. She felt her consciousness stretch again as the alignment deepened. Holt gritted his teeth, holding the resonance line even as his body shook. Rin muttered rhythmic syllables, matching the codex's cadence instinctively. The column of light shifted into a spiraling funnel, pulling energy inward. The rift twisted in response, its edges folding like fabric caught in a whirlpool. Akervun thrashed, each movement distorting reality across kilometers. His limbs snapped through dimensional seams like cracked glass shards. Your species was an error. An accident that should have been purged. Myra's voice rose, steady and unwavering. We're not accidents. We adapt. The funnel tightened, dragging the Elder's projection toward its center. Another scream, a sharper one, cut through their minds. Holt flinched but didn't let go. Rin gasped, he's weakening. Akervun's eyes scattered into fragments of light. His body folded into itself, unable to maintain cohesion. The resonance spiraled faster as Mira synchronized the final symbol cluster with her intent. The codex responded with a burst of radiant energy. For a moment, everything froze: noise, motion, light. The Elder's vast form hung suspended in a single crystalline instant. Then the rift snapped shut. The shock wave blasted through the station, knocking them all off their feet. Consoles exploded in showers of sparks. The monolith dimmed, its surface settling into stillness. The lights flickered back to steady glow as pressure normalized. Silence filled the lab. Holt coughed and wiped dust from his face. Someone tell me that worked. Rin stared at the viewport, stunned. The breach is gone. Mira pulled herself up. Her legs trembled from fatigue, but her mind was steady. He's been forced back beyond the Dominion's threshold. Is he dead? Holt asked. Rin shook his head slowly. Elders don't die the way we understand it. But he's contained. Banished from this plane. Holt collapsed against a console in relief. I'll take that. Mira approached the monolith. Its symbols had faded to almost nothing, like ink washed from ancient stone. The codex had expended its stored resonance. Rin joined her. Is it dormant now? Not dormant, Mira said. Finished. Holt frowned. Finished doing what? Giving us exactly what we needed. She rested her palm against the barrier one last time. Knowledge. And a reminder. Rin glanced at her. A reminder of what? She gazed out into the quiet expanse where the rift once hung. That humanity isn't defined by fear. We don't bow to the impossible. We confront it. The station's intercom crackled to life, broadcasting Earth Command's cautious inquiry. Holt moved to answer them, but Mira stayed still, watching the stars return to their undistorted glow. Rin exhaled softly. The Elders warned their children about humans because of this, didn't they? Mira nodded. They saw what we could become. And what is that? She allowed herself a faint smile. Something even gods don't know how to predict. The monolith gave a final pulse, soft, almost like a nod, and then went dark. Outside the viewport, the Shatterwell expanse shimmered peacefully, its wounded light settling into calm. Humanity had stood against an elder and survived. And across the distant reaches of the galaxy, Ancient warnings would soon be rewritten. Do not provoke humans. They prepare the impossible,